Welcome everybody to this week's episode of Strong Perspective Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Keith Armstrong, along with
Uncle Spoke.
and Damon Armstrong, Fluke Dog. He is he is entertaining other folks on other platforms today, so we'll catch him next week. You know what I'm saying? Um, welcome to this podcast. Going 5 years strong. This is a conversational podcast. Sometimes we have a little bit of controversy. We the majority of the time we laugh, we joke, we do whatever we do, and I'm happy to be here. I enjoy being here. You know what I mean? So with that being said, please go to our YouTube channel. Help us push our narrative. Like, share, and subscribe to our videos. And one day, you ain't gonna have to hear me say that because we're gonna be all good in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Armstrong, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Not a lot happened. I was off work today. Got a chance to to sit around and enjoy my surroundings, man, without too much fuss.
Okay.
So it was a pretty good day.
Cool. Yeah, my day was good too, man, because it's the simple fact that my focus was set on what really mattered, and that is the blessings that came my way when I opened up my eyes. When I opened up my eyes, that was a blessing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us don't get to do that. You know, we always have something throughout our days that's gonna have us having to deal with what we have to deal with. So this welcome, man. This welcome. This welcome. My production assistant, he's bothering me. He wants a piece of chicken, so you know, you good, man. But other than that, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy you're on this platform also, brother. Um, what is? Let's just start this off. Nothing too spicy. How, when you out in the world, Jaquari, how much patience do you have with the world, general public, white people, black people, whatever? How much patience do you have?
Well, I would say I got a lot of patience, man. I have to have an abundance of patience because a lot of times, man, you got to be patient for other people. You got to excuse their lack of public what would you call it, etiquette.
Etiquette. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it may sound like a lot of work, and it usually is, but throughout the course of my life, man, there's been several situations, man, that I think back on, and I say, well, yeah, I was probably right uh during that confrontation, but had I not led with my pride, then things would have turned out a whole lot different than they did.
A whole lot different for you or for that person or both.
For all parties involved. I mean, because like I said, even if I was right, my anger or whatever I was feeling at the time took over, and everything becomes bigger when you're emotional like that.
Hmm.
Everything becomes bigger, and witnesses to situations like that when they see a person filled with big emotions, right or wrong, that person is automatically the bad guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when in regards to physical stature.
I see. I see.
So I mean, I'd be 100% right, man, but I would always be perceived as somebody trying to throw weight around or trying to be a bully or something. But no, I mean, I was right, and if you was in my shoes, you'd be doing the same thing.
I
You
think
know,
that, and that's a funny thing because it really this popped into my mind because it was a conversation that I had today at my barber shop. And a young man came in and he asked my barber, who was a wise man, Rico, at Creative Cuts, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Shout out to
He said, he asked him, do you think his lack of restraint a detriment to him? Meaning keeping his cool as he go out through the day in his
mm,
life. You know what I'm saying? And he went into how he felt the negative parts of not having a cooler head, right? And not having patience. And I sat there, I thought about it in silence. I was quiet for a second, you know what I'm saying? And really thinking about it. And I told him, I said, sometime, my detriment is I have too much patience. I have too much patience, meaning that in a lot of situations, when I should let something go, I wait it out. Whatever, for whatever reason that I waited out. You know what I mean? I said, in a lot of in a lot of times, that felt like it was my detriment. You know what I mean?
mm,
And really, I'm not saying that I don't. No, I appreciate having a lot of patience because it has gotten me out of situation and kept me in situations. You know what I'm saying? But you get to the point where you're like, oh man, especially if somebody gets on your nerves
yeah.
and you try to find a reason why they still should be in your life. You know what I'm saying? You know,
I mean,
and
but
go ahead.
high emotions like that, man, anger, high emotions like anger, man, and outrage. Those are tools, man. They're tools, and you can't you can't use them willy nilly, man. Like if you're in a physical confrontation in the street or whatever, you can't fight angry. You can't fight angry.
Most people do though.
Most
But
people
see,
do, yeah. But that's why I do everything I can to keep my head because
yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to de-escalate, but if necessary, if escalation is necessary, then I gotta know what I'm gonna do. I gotta know,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm not just gonna dive on somebody. There's an assessment there that I need to have a cool head and a clear mind to make.
yeah, yeah.
You can't
And
do that.
he asked the question that he asked us was, um, and it wasn't. It was just some decisions that he made that he felt bad about.
Mm,
You see what I'm saying? Because of his impatience, and mostly it was geared toward the relationship he had with a woman. He was
mm,
frustrated at her and impatient with her not doing exactly what he needed her to be. So he said he was driven to making a bad decision.
mm.
And I asked, do you use that as an excuse to do what you did? You see what I'm saying? Because a
Mhm.
lot of times it happens like that, where we say, oh my goodness, you know what? I got to get drunk because such and such talked to me a certain way. No, you was looking for a reason to get drunk.
Mhm.
That's how I see it. You're looking
That's
for a
how it,
reason to get drunk.
that's how it is. That's how it is. Anything outside of you that causes you to do a bad thing, man, is acceptable to us. You know
Yeah, yeah,
that even that statement being driven to do something. I mean, wow. I mean, that's just. I mean, and I'm just as guilty, man. But for you to accept from yourself that you were driven to do something crazy, is like the pinnacle of weakness. That's how
Mm,
I feel. And
gotcha.
I'm not getting on you, man, or anything like that. I don't know him, but there's been times in my life, man, where I wasn't the man who I claimed to be in situations.
Yeah,
And when I left them, and when I got past them, I felt bad. I really did. So I decided that I was gonna do everything I could to make sure that I was in the right, even if I had to do bad shit.
yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't know, man. I think the crazy thing about it is patience. You cannot have the kind of patience that fits in every puzzle piece,
Mm.
right? It's not realistic. So being patient when you are, say, involved in your hobby of stamp collection and shit, you have to be patient. You have to look for it and all this. But when you're in a relationship with somebody and that person's not giving you what you want, and they're telling you they're not giving you what you want, is patience of stamp collecting. Does that apply to that relationship?
It absolutely does. It
Why do
absolutely
you think?
does.
Why do you think
Because
that?
the stamp collection and the coin collection and all that stuff, that's just practice.
Hmm.
Patience. I mean, the virtue of patience, man, is so much larger than that. But it's definitely a muscle, man. So you got to work it. You got to
Gotcha.
work it, and you got to work it and apply it to all the things that you love. Sometimes some of the things that you hate, you have to.
So it's not. It's a big construct,
Hmm.
and you take pieces from it and what kind of to fit in whatever situation that you're in. There is what you're saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say patience. I mean, I wouldn't even say pieces, man. I mean, the same patience, like I said, you have for a stamp collection is the same patience that you apply to any other thing that you love.
Gotcha. What about the things that you hate?
You got to be careful. You got to be careful because sometimes, sometimes it could be said that when we don't uh, put anything into the things that we hate, then they don't go away, but they're not as big as you know hate requires.
Gotcha.
So then you got to ask yourself, do you even need to waste your time with this?
I see. I
I
see.
couldn't I couldn't name three things to you right now that I hate in my life, man, because I don't shit. I don't entertain that shit. Or not things. I'm gonna say people. I'm gonna say people because I mean it is easy. It is easy to hate a person, and people say, "Well, no, you shouldn't say you that you hate a person." No, it's actually quite easy, man. But the thing about me is, like I said, I'm not around those people. I don't entertain those people. So therefore, in my mind, I don't hate them. And when I come around them, I know that there is a distance that I need to have.
I
So
see.
I provide that for myself.
And I mean, and that in itself puts you in a situation where if you're trying to be navigate stuff, because wherever we navigating through it, and this is my opinion about it, wherever we're navigating through life, we continually have to work on ourselves as we're going through it in real time. You have to work on yourself, even if you feel proud of who you are and what you're going through, and you feel like you have reason to gloat. If you're not working on yourself, it's going to get lost. It's going to get lost. You're going to lose part of you in which you have to go find it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to double talk. I'm just saying that throughout our life, we have to do one particular thing. Continue to work on ourselves. It never stops. It never stops.
And quite honestly, man, there's some things that, when I was younger, I stood on. But as I got older, I seen how much bullshit it was. And vice versa, man. I things that I thought were useless to me when I seen over the years they had value.
Yeah. Yeah.
So shit. I mean, I'm not the same person I was, 20 years ago when I was 33, or hell, even when I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
Changes happen in people, man, and you have to accept that. The worst thing I could do for anyone, man, is expect them to be the same person they were when I had known them years ago. That's disrespectful.
I think it is too, but the majority of the time, that's what we expect, though.
Yeah, but that's on our own selfishness, man. It's our own selfishness, because I knew and interacted with this person at a time where I felt like things was pretty good for me, or things was pretty bad for me. So when we're in this person's presence again, those old feelings, they come back up. It's just
Yeah.
like the it's just like the sibling chain. You know, there's a hierarchy in the line of siblings. You know, from the oldest to the youngest. When you get together, that's how shit plays out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if especially if you don't put up a concerted effort to say, yo, look, we grown now.
Hmm.
I don't have to make the the decision for how you live now. You know what I'm saying? Because you have your own life. You moving forward. You're being your best authentic self for you and your family, right? So to try to hold on to that because of birth position, to hold on to that hierarchy is foolishness unless unless it is given to you. But then I still think it's not fair
Yeah,
on
it's not
either
fair.
party. On either
Yeah,
party.
yeah,
You
it's
know what I
not
mean?
fair.
Look, I think that I grew up in one of the best times you could grow up in. Born in the late '60s, grew up in the '70s, '80s, '90s, and the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like this, that experience. Because, you got to think about it. You were born in '72. We actually witnessed the world changing in technology wise, changing.
Hmm.
Because, first it was the reel to reel, this far as music and recording. It was reel to reel. And then they went to 8-track tape. Then they went to cassette tape. Then they went to CDs. Then next thing you know, it's MP3 players. Now it's just streaming everywhere through your computers on your phone. Your phone is a computer.
Yeah, yeah.
I
We
mean,
went
a
to sell.
real.
We went to
Go ahead.
selling music. We went from selling music to selling water.
Ain't that true?
Music is free now. Ain't that a bitch?
It's free. It's free. And you know what's so funny about it is, in order for music to exist, people have to volunteer their money.
Hmm.
As opposed to us, in order for us to have listened to that music, we would have had to go to the record store or sat it in front of the radio at about 9 o'clock, wherever you were in your metropolitan city, right? Pressing record when that song came on.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And we got we had the opportunity to see it all. I mean, this age range. We had the opportunity to see it all, which is
Mm,
crazy. That's a blessing in itself, man. You know what I mean?
it definitely is. I think about it, man. As far as the gap between, the gap in technology between us and our parents or whatever, I never had to explain anything electronic to our parents. And now, man, shit, I can barely start my car.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I'm gonna tell you what helped me when it came to it. Having the sons who dibble and dabble in it, and then my,
mm,
your sister-in-law. She was into the technology too, right? But what helped me the most, and I didn't know the lingo, but what helped me the most was my job because I
mm,
had a laptop to do all my reports on. You know what I'm saying? And I had to know how to turn that thing on, to log in, to save my progress, to do all these different things. And really and truly, I was skipping, dipping, and tripping through that process, right? But then what really and truly brought on that college brain and that intellect that I had to learn this thing because it was my job and I didn't want to lose no money.
mm.
So I had to pull myself out of the dark ages.
You know what helped me? The little girl at the cash register. I thank God is always one wherever I'm at. And she say,
Yeah,
"Well, you don't got to stick your sir, you don't got to stick your card in there no more. Just touch the screen."
just tap it for me.
And I be like, "Holy shit! Mine don't do that. Mine don't do that."
When that happened,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, speaking of that, which is funny, before my bank went to the tap, right? This is all recent in the last 8 months, right? Everybody else's bank went to it. You know what I'm saying? And the funny thing is, when I'm in the fast food line, right? They'll stick it in there to tap it. They'll stick it out, stick the whole joint out to tap it. I said, no,
Mhm.
you got to stick it in. I used to feel,
No. Yeah. You gotta stick it in there.
you got to stick it in, got to insert it. I used to
Wow.
feel so weird saying that. Like, I would chuckle every time. Got to
Mm-mm.
insert it, got to stick it in.
Yeah. Man, look here. We got to drive through a little fast food drive through around here, man. And I go through there in the morning and shit before I go to work.
uh,
And there's a lady in there, man. She's a manager, and I had to use my credit because she would get mad when I had money.
yeah,
She would get mad when I had money or whatever. So as slow at math as I am, I would have to figure the change out whenever I seen her and I had money. I'm like, man, yeah, I'm just gonna use the card for this.
look, one, two,
Yeah,
three.
like I'm like, just give me 75 cents back. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
come
yeah,
on, like,
yeah. Keep the change. You got like $15 worth of coming back. You feel so
mm,
bad. Just go ahead and keep the change. You know what I
yeah,
mean? He got money. No, I
he
just
got
don't
it.
want to hear your shit. That's
Yeah,
all.
but yeah, though, man. I mean, I can attribute like on my job or whatever, man. The younger folks, man, they really do. Hey, what's going on, KB?
KB.
They really do look out. Like when I'm in technical need of shit,
Yeah, yeah. And
and
it's like a way of life for them though. See, that's the thing. Having the fact that they went from because like I said we witnessed the evolution. If you paid attention,
mhm.
what is it? The tablets, the little joint, the medium sized joint. Was that a tablet?
Yeah, what is that?
I don't even. Forgive me,
The
folks.
re-
I
the
don't
the
know.
the reader things.
Yeah, yeah, all of that, all those
Yeah.
different things. We went from that. Then you had the laptops, the high powered laptops. You know what I mean? Because they were desktops. You know, And think about it. We went from analog, dial up. I remember all of that. That's
Mhm.
crazy work, man. That is crazy work right there.
And then you talk about the eight track tapes, man. What was it called? The Panasonic Platinum.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can remember wanting one of those, man. Cause
Hmm.
the Earth, Wind and Fire, they did the commercial. Listen to the Sonic Platinum. Sonic
Yeah, man.
Platinum. Yeah. And they have shit. It had been years since I've seen an 8-track tape, but I want me a Panasonic Platinum.
And you know what's so messed up about it is they only think about it. The 8-track takes is only fast forward. You couldn't
Mm,
rewind them damn things that save your life, man.
no, but you learn the music
Yeah.
and you listen.
What
You
what
listen.
was
You
it?
listen.
Was it they only rewound or was it they only fast forwarded?
Shit, I don't know.
I,
I never use one. I never use one.
I had one before, you know, that I stole. I didn't really steal it. I was in the hospital and one of my female friends brought it up there so I can listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Well, look, when you get out the hospital, I want you to bring it back to me." I never brought it back until she shamed me. She shamed me one day. She said she walked up to me. It was just me and her, but we was in school. She
Hmm.
walked up to me and said, "Keith, how long you gonna keep my shit?" And she ain't even cuss. She ain't even cuss.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Mm,
And look, I said, "Listen, I got to go buy you. Because it had double D. Is it double D batteries?"
probably it.
I said, "Look, I yeah, D batteries." I said, "You know what? I'm gonna return it as soon as I buy you all them damn batteries. There's 8 of them. You know what I'm saying?" But
About
yeah,
$50 worth of batteries. Yeah.
she shamed me, boy. She shamed me. And this is what that's the kind of lessons that I learned. Is like, don't keep nobody shit if you ain't got no business having it. You
Give
know what
it,
I'm
give it,
saying?
give it, give it back, man, because it
Give
was
it
a black.
back.
Yeah.
You know.
See, you ever had a
Keith said,
cassette
"Did
player?
y'all ever have that they advertised on Soul Train?"
That was it. That was the Panasonic Platinum.
Yeah, that was the same one. That was the same one. And you know what the funny thing about it is, I didn't start watching Soul Train until I was maybe around 16, 17. You know what I mean? Because they had this when I really and truly discovered black women. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
then they on there funky chicken
Yeah,
and Zulu
but
dancing and wiggling and shit.
I
But
ain't. I ain't.
my cousins, every Saturday, man, I used to be my female cousins. We would come to my grandma's house. It'd be about 8 of us over there, right? And Soul Train came on around what, early afternoon, 2 o'clock, some shit like that.
Like
And I
yeah, like noon.
hated it, but they would cry. They would crowd around the television. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? And they'd talk about the different dances they was watching and all. And I'm looking at them like, why the hell is they watching this? You know what I'm saying? But then as I got older, I said, okay, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I ain't have a need for it, man, because we had the scene, so
yeah.
I ain't care nothing about Soul Train.
Look, I used to like to watch the scene, but then remember that like late, remember the late '80s when they started, guys were getting on there, popping their hips and shit like that. I stopped watching that shit, man. I was like,
Man,
what the hell is this?
uh,
You know what I'm saying?
I get it, man, but I'm like, look, uh, the scene was the scene. I was like, yeah, this on some Detroit shit, yeah.
Hey, anybody from Detroit, y'all know what the scene is. Hey, look, it was a staple. It was a staple.
Hey,
You
Key,
know.
well, it's 6 o'clock, and it's time to rock, and we'll rock till 7 o'clock, and we don't stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When
You know
when
what?
Nat when Nat Morris.
Yeah,
Nat Morris
Nat Moore,
was the coolest motherfucker.
the
I was like,
coolest. Yes, sir.
Outside of our Uncle Kenny, Nat Morris
Yeah,
was the coolest motherfucker that I'd ever
yeah,
seen.
man. Yeah, yes, sir. And you know what's so funny about it is, it was like a teenage show, but it was guys up there.
Oh
Listen,
man.
it was guys up there who
Mm.
was 40 years old, boy, dressed with the
Look,
silks and the gators and
yeah,
everything.
yeah. You know they just did a shifting forward. You know they just did a shifting forward, man. And they see,
Grown ass men. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Grown men. Yo,
As a
that
matter of
was
fact,
funny.
cuz that's the one who turned me on hard heavy to it was Aunt
Yeah,
Robin.
I'm
She
Robin. Yeah,
had it was at 6 o'clock every day. She had to have the
six
scene on, and
o'clock.
I was
Yes,
like, man,
sir. And what channel was it on? Jaquari Malika. It was on
Channel 62
62,
with
and
the
I
one
think
commercial.
I think that was the only program on there. The rest of the time, it was just all commercials on
Yeah,
that channel.
one of the public access channels with the one
Yeah.
commercial. The lady she was on the phone said, "Girl, I was over their house and the roaches was everywhere."
Yeah.
That was the funniest shit I'd ever heard.
It was roaches everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know. Um, but like I said, the two generations that we're a part of, right? We got to see everything change. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Some of I remember when my wife kid was an engineer. When I was at Pitt, engineering and computer science majors, right?
Mm,
These month, remember the cards, the ticker cards, the like the ticker tape cards. You know what I'm talking about?
The white ones,
They were,
the
yeah,
Scantron cards. Yeah.
yeah. The crazy thing was, it was a part of their finals that to do I guess you can tell I wasn't majoring in this shit, but do the programming,
hmm
and once they completed, right? Once they completed everything and they graduated in the quad, you will see it would be like a snowfall because they was
mm
throwing people was going to the top of their dorms throwing all those cards out and it was all floating around and shit. I said, man, what the hell is this? Well,
hmm
they done with their computer science class or their engineering class. You know what I'm saying?
So much
And
work though.
it's
They
a
did.
lot of work. You gotta have a lot of patience. You gotta be meticulous. You really do. I don't know. You I'm gonna tell you, when I went to college, I had no idea of what I was gonna major in.
Mm.
I really didn't. And then my major just so happened because I went to school for business. At
Mm.
one time, I was very good at math. So I'm like, well, look, I'm gonna go and major in business, right? And count money and shit. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
But then my job got in the way of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I had practice, I had to maintain what I needed to maintain, and I could have, but I didn't have the discipline for it. You know what I mean? So what I ended up doing was getting my degree in what I call it was the College of General Studies a grown man, grown woman degree, and
hmm
it's administration of justice with uh, specializing in child development. So basically, what you're doing, you're working with people. You know what I'm saying? I had classes at night, 5:45 at night, which was it was crazy. I was in there with people who had just got off of work. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Just got off of work,
Yeah.
and look, and would be when we have a break in class, right? They'd be out there smoking and
Drink
doing
coffee and shit.
yeah, yeah, doing grown. Look, doing grown people shit. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
Hey man, I got to call. I got to call and check on my kids.
yeah, let me see. Let me make sure my kids is in the house, man. I'm
That
like
kind of
looking at
shit.
them
Like,
like, wow, okay, okay. No, I'm look, I'm 19, 20 years old, and I'm not really like registering. You know what I mean?
mm,
But yeah, that's a funny thing, man. You just looking up and feel blessed that you in college. You know what I'm saying? But then you meet your other classmates, and they, especially at that time, man, we was going to college, and that we was considered that that the excellence in our community. You know what I mean? So it became you know a war between regular and bougie. You know what I'm saying? And let me explain what I mean. A lot of times it was no real in between. And it probably was, but it was no real in between. Your parents had money or was able to work and send you to school, right? Or you was there and you had 2 or 3 jobs and send it gets you got the student loans and you're working through school. You know what I mean? That's what it always seemed like when it came to black culture in college. It's either one or another. I'm sure it was stuff in between. Now, don't get me wrong, but that's the one that always those two things was always stuck out. And what I noticed was, and I didn't allow myself to really and truly get caught up in it, is people used to look down
mm.
on people who went to work. You used to look down on them because you
Call them
didn't know
town,
no better. You know what I'm saying?
call them townies and shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing.
With us, they call them burgers. You going to school with Pittsburghers, right? You understand what I'm saying? From because a lot of it, Pittsburghers, Philadelphia, the DMV, that's the majority of the black folks that was in that school. New York, that's the majority of black folks in that school was from those areas. You know what I'm saying? And it was just funny just to look at how we as a group saw the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, look,
Everything,
you go ahead.
everything you just described, man. You could at least start, multiply that by 5. At a black school, there was. I mean, if anything, if black people will do anything, man, we will figure out a way to separate ourselves. I mean, because going to school in
That's
Durham,
real.
as much fear and in some regards hate that the people who went to Central, man, had for Durhamites,
Yeah.
people who, and in a lot of cases, people who attended the school, they had no respect for them, no respect
Hmm.
for them at all.
Hmm.
But
And
and,
what's so,
I was on
you,
the outside of that because I was 30 years old, so
yeah.
I don't want to mix in y'all. I don't want to mix in y'all business. I just wanted to be left alone and go to school, man. You talk
old
about your
enough, old enough to know better. Yes, sir.
definitely, definitely, and that kept me out of a lot of shit, man. Because I was like, man, when I got my little space up there, I was like, shit, I'm about to indulge everything, man.
Yeah.
It be in college and just live a college life. But I restrained myself in a lot of situations, man, for real.
No, I get it. I get it.
Because it was necessary, man. Because I was around a bunch of kids,
For the
you know.
most part,
But
you know
but
what I
I
mean?
was I was lucky enough, man, to find that community of old heads who was just like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they was just like me. I was like, wow. And I didn't think I was going to see that at all. But like I said, I was blessed to find that community for real.
You know what it is though. To be honest with you, um, when you go to school with older people, because you was your last 2 years, if had you stayed on campus your last year, but your last 2 years you was in the old head dorm,
Mm-hmm.
Salento, one of the
My
coolest
main man.
southern, and the the folks, the grown men and women that's in there, they was all, to me, what I saw was military people, man,
They were for the most
coming
part.
out the military, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But yeah, you was on your whole dorm was all old heads, bro. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
It was, and it was, man. Look, that's the way. Look, the last 2 years was the way, as far as living, is the way you're supposed to live on the college campus for real. It was some wild shit, man, but it was some mature shit, So
Yeah, yeah. I remember we Salento, man, was I hope that brother's doing well, bro.
I would too, man. I
Cause
hate I
it's
lost
good,
touch with him for real.
good man, real good dude. But like being around him, but I'm gonna tell you that military had him. He became a drinker. He became a drinker, man. You know what I'm saying? And I just, to me, I was like, I used to sit there and think about it, like, damn, I wonder what this man saw
Mm.
for him to be, what I'm saying, where it is.
Doggone airborne, man.
Yeah, yeah.
He was an airborne. I'm like, wow, okay.
Look, he's the one. He's the one I got it from. Got to be more careful.
Got to be more careful. Sharp as a tack, man. Sharp as a doggone tack, man.
I remember we was when the one day. Remember we had that big gallon. Was it? What was it?
Bumpy
Was
face.
it? It was that naughty head. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mhm.
And all three of us just sat up in there and was just sipping on that thing all day, wilding out, man,
Man,
laughing and joking. Next thing you know, Salento sat on the side of his bed. His eyes, he always had big eyes. he got he got up there. I knew it was time for me to go, right? Because he sat on the side of the bed and he got quiet. He was like, and all he could do was just sit there and shook his head. He was just shaking his head. I know what it was. Because he was making he was pouring healthy glass.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah. You know that's the thing about it, man. It's just understanding your blessing and what position you in. I remember having a big discussion with my friends. Like when I was done with basketball and football, I moved back to Pittsburgh, right? So I still have friends that were still in college. Now I wouldn't hang out on campus with them, but I would take them to bars with me. You see what I'm saying? So we were standing around, especially if I couldn't, catch up with my friends, right? And we were sitting around just talking about it. And remember when Charles Barkley had that commercial about "I'm not a role model"?
Mhm.
You know, they lost they lost the meaning of that. You know what I'm saying?
Also,
Because they was criticizing Charles Barkley for saying that, right? And I said, well, yeah, I understand why you're critiquing him and saying that he's wrong. I'm not saying that he's wrong for saying it, but he's also saying that there's role models out here you need to be looking at, not just somebody who can dribble a basketball, right?
mm,
Next thing you know, we got in a full discussion. It's me against like four other guys. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean, big dog? You can't be a role model. I said, yeah, you can. He's the only one we got. And he started naming all these basketball guys and these singers and shit like that, right? I said, but are they role models or are they entertainers? What do you mean? I said, well, can you sing? Can you jump? Can you do what? I understand that you're following his lead and her lead in a positive way. I get that. So
Hmm.
that's not. I'm not. I'm not lost on that. But I have different role models, right? And they thought they had me stumped because I always believed this, man, in my heart. They thought they had me stumped, Jaquari. They said, "Well, what is your role model?" And da da da. So I went to a man. I said, "Why are you here in school? Who paying your tuition? Who paying your room and board? Who's giving you an allowance so you can live while you're up here?" My mom, my dad, my mom, my dad. They not your role model? They not considered a role model? I said, how many of y'all have a black mailman in your neighborhood? A black police officer patrolling, a black doctor. Because in them days, we had black doctors in our neighborhood, black lawyers. We could see them. You know what I mean? Because they had their offices in different neighborhoods, right? I
Hmm.
said, that's a role model to me. Starting first and foremost, I'm starting with my father because he got me to this point. Now they're quiet, right? Because what they did was they thought they had me stumped. They thought that I was on some, I'm jealous of Charles Barkley, or, you know what I mean? Or I'm just being this way because I played basketball. No, man, I see life in the way it is, other than where the way it's been told it should be. You see, you know what I mean? And that
You
wasn't
know,
even a part, but go ahead.
the difference between black fans and white fans in particular is I've never seen white fans have the kind of expectations, for their athletes and entertainers that we do.
They
They have
do.
no. You think so?
They do. But see, here's the thing. This is what I think. They look at them as entertainment and inspiration. We look at them as our only way out and how we look to the rest of the world.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And like I said, I don't think it's no right or wrong. It's relative on how, how other people think and what they see and all of that. But because white people become obsessive over people, you know what I'm saying? They become obsessive over their sports heroes.
I mean, when have you ever seen like the way like the way black people demand that say a Charles Barkley has a certain political stance? What have you ever seen? White fandom demand that of anybody in entertainment.
They won't they don't allow it because they see it as they see them as entertainers. Even though they might worship the ground that they walk on, they ain't gonna let them people choose their political views. They're not gonna let it happen. Malcolm X, I saw a clip on social media. He said, when have you, he named Lena Horne, he went down the line of naming different folks. He said, the black community is the only community who looked at their entertainers as their community leaders. He said, you don't see that in white folks. You see them as that that's this my sports idol. But that's the truth. We make spokesmen out of people. I mean, you artistic.
Hey
You know
Keith,
what I'm saying? Yeah.
hold on. I got somebody at my door, man. Hold on for a second.
Okay. But they're artistic, and artists to me are great at what they do because they can use it. They have powerful imaginations and they have all these different things. But that don't necessarily they don't necessarily have making those kind of decisions. Those kind making those kind of decisions when it comes to life. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Hmm.
what. And you know what? I thought about it before. I think we're that way because our entertainment was always accepted by white white society. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
logical. That's logical. I mean, but some of the same are you take music for instance, some of the same musical artists who are accepted by those that same part of society, man, buys their drugs from that same part of society. So does that who they is that who they think represents us?
Yeah,
It's impossible. It's impossible. They couldn't. They could. I don't. I mean, look for everybody. For every crash out king that we know, man, for every one crash out king that we know, we also know five rational dudes, man, who you would rather have in situations. You
yeah,
know what I mean? It take like every stand up comedian, man, who's ever talked about black people on the news getting interviewed.
hmm
It's all the same caricature or whatever. It's a dude with a curler bag, a curler bag on his heart on his head, talking about,
yeah,
yeah, I heard three shots, crack a
yeah,
pie, crack a pie, and I duck. They always find that guy. Well,
yeah,
there and God bless that guy because he's willing to speak out. But
yeah.
there's people who can give you a rational accounting that's standing around.
But they not going to see, and I don't know if they're not being picked purposely or the simple fact that the person that they interview are eager to get on TV. Period. You know what I'm saying?
That even that makes the interviewer look away. And I'm not saying that these people shouldn't be interviewed. I'm just saying, man, you get it from everybody. And the way you get it
Okay,
from everybody, man, is you talk to people on the scene, man, and you kind of assess who can get the message out there. You just want them to broadcast the crime or give a legible accounting.
I see. I see. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, okay. Now that we mention that, now that you mention that, why would I feel ashamed that somebody gets on a black person gets on man or woman gets on television and makes a damn fool of herself? Why is that my shame to carry? I'm speaking in general because black folks do that.
Because often our peers ask us to explain. And I'm not saying, I don't look. I'm all about communication, man. I stutter, man. So talking and sounding away has always been like paramount of my concerns or whatever. So I get that, but I'm not embarrassed by it. I mean, just because a person mispronounces a word or whatever, you knew what the fuck they meant.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, uh, outside of your personal pettiness, man, did you get the information that you were seeking? You did, yeah. It just didn't come in the package that you preferred or whatever. So I get that, and I'm not saying that I carry any kind of embarrassment for somebody who for a dude who did do an interview with Rollers or whatever. That's him. That's him. I'm saying, man, get the whole story. It's somebody standing around, who can relate what the hell is going on, and that's what I'm concerned with. I want to know what the hell is going on, not for the sake of entertainment, but hell, I might ride down this street one day.
Yeah. It's
So
always
put
good
me,
to have. It's always good to have information. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, shit, mass embarrassment for one of us who acts outside of what we believe to be proper character on television, man. Yeah, I mean, it happens, and I wish there was an explanation for it.
See, and that's the thing is, why do you have to answer for? Okay, we don't get the right representation when it comes to television, social media, anything like that. We don't get the right representation. But the thing about it is what is the right representation? You know what I mean?
Well,
Because
well,
if somebody gets on there and stumble on their words, but they get out what they need to get out, I take it as a win more than anything because you understand what they're saying. But a lot of times, what ends up happening is people, did you see that such and such? You see him get on there and this and that. But what did he say though? What did he say? What
a
did
lot of
she
times,
say?
a lot of times they couldn't tell you. But I'm
Because
saying,
all they worried about is how they make they making us look bad. Remember that phrase, bro?
mm,
You out here making us look bad. What the
but I gotta
fuck?
tell you what though,
How? I
man.
don't know you. How am I making you look bad?
I gotta tell you what though, man. I mean, from what I can figure, I mean, if you are the black person who needs to like explain black culture to the to the people who aren't black around you or whatever, that you're the guy. You are the person who they feel like they can come to and get a fucking cogent explanation from. It's either that or mockery.
And it's all it's ever been is mockery. Corey?
Well, I mean that's I mean, but
No, because
you
a
got to
lot
do
of
what
times,
you got to do. You got to do, man, what you got to do to counter balance that kind of shit.
if
You don't think?
if you had that white so-called friend come the fuck to you when you get to work that day and say, "Hey, did you see such and such? That was crazy. Why do you think they did that?" Right? And my first reaction to questions like that is, do you really know the answer of the question you just asked me? And it's yes. So I was like, well, why do you think? Because see, that's what it is. Like, how dare you? You got something on your mind and you're trying to set it up because you do not want to, you feel you don't want to insult me or get me angry at you. So what do? You ask that quote unquote innocent question.
Mhm.
Like I had a guy that I worked with who asked me, he said, Keith, oh, old country boy. He said, Keith, he set up the whole thing. Our kids have the opportunity. They got these computers and becoming, to become anybody they need to become, right? The information is there. Well, not when we were out, but the information is there. I said, yeah, I agree. He said, and that was a setup question. He said, well, Keith, let me ask you a question. Why don't these black kids take advantage of that? Because it's there.
Mm.
And I looked at him. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, what I mean was stammering on his words now because he's like, oh shit, wait a minute. I'm getting ready. I think I tried not to step on his toes, but I stepped on him because he asked me, well, what do you mean? I said, it has nothing to do with that. I said, you have numbers of who's not taking advantage of it and who is. I said, I see kids, black kids, taking advantage of this every day. I
Mhm.
said, you and I only have to deal with 1 to 2% of these kids. What about the other 98% who's doing what they're supposed to do?
Mhm.
I say, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you, oh, we good and this, that. No, I'm saying to you is, that's a dumbass damn question.
It
I said,
was. It
how
was.
dare you ask me that when and we was cool. I said, with your corn pone ass, coming with this stupid shit,
Dumb
you
questions
know?
like that, man. Dumb questions like that, man, are for me yardsticks, man, to see how much distance I need to create from this motherfucker.
And
Because
see, and they only doing it. They only doing it because they want to say something. They want to make a statement about our community. So they set you up to see if you is on par. Now, do I sound paranoid? No, I just ran into some of the dumbest people that's being who want to be assholes, but want to look like good guys too.
Hmm. Hmm. I totally get that, man. But outside of the working relationship, that conversation would have solidified to me the fact that I have no use for this person because this person has no use for me or mine.
Yeah,
So it's business. It's just business between me and him. So
which
and
which
I've had to do that with black people too. So I mean that's just the work world.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you the funny thing about it is this, Jaquari, agreeing to what you just said, right? What we have to do is navigate who we are as people, you know, and put people in the categories that's going to better us. Meaning, if you know somebody who just wants to pick and pride and complain, you got to put them in the back burner, man. No matter how important they are to your situation, your mental health is more important than sitting there and listening to that foolishness because they feel some kind of way about who they are as people. You know what I'm saying? Like, what takes me out is the angry person. A lot of time, angry people who may have a reason to be angry, but they don't have a reason to be angry toward the people around them.
I mean,
And they,
shit. Angry people, especially angry bullies, punch down, or so they think.
hmm I agree. I agree. I mean, you know the little sayings, misery loves company, the different sayings like that. They're still around because they're based in truth. Like you run to a motherfucker where your group of friends is waiting for you, right? And you're an angry fucker, right? And your group of friends sitting around laughing and joking and all this, and I almost guarantee you say in your mind, "Oh, this won't do.
Look at
This
these
won't do."
motherfuckers.
No, sir. Yeah.
These
Always
motherfuckers
keep keying.
sniggling and giggling like a bunch of bitches and shit. Watch this.
Yeah.
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 But some of those, we all ran with dudes like that. But there
Yeah.
was no question that at the end of the day we was still gonna be running with them because that's just the group. That's either part of the group. They
If I
bring
had a
something to the table.
if I had a relationship with them and I'm cool with them, I'm cutting them off. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. Not today, my guy. Not today. You can be mad as you want to, but every other look, the other 3/4 of the time that you and I have been swinging, I'll listen to that bullshit. But I can't do it today, man. I can't
Yeah.
do it today. You know, because it's you have to. You really and truly have to have say to be happy to have self care. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I'm not talking about being selfish. Being selfish is taking something that don't belong to you. You know what I'm saying? But self care is like, okay, oh no, no, I know not to go into this door. I know not to broach this conversation. I also know like, hey man, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like shit. I'm not gonna let you piss on me and tell me that it's raining, man. Like no, you gotta take that vibe somewhere else, man. I can't deal with it.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah, and then it's straight. All right, here comes strong with that. Strong, strong on that mess now. Why are you sensitive? Okay, I'm sensitive. because I don't want to hear your bullshit.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll be sensitive. You know,
And that's another
but
thing, man. I've long ago gotten past the sense that I needed to explain myself in any situation, man. I mean, if I do give you an explanation, you know, and it's not even a respect thing, man. It's that I'm really really trying to self rationalize and help you rationalize this situation, man.
yeah,
We don't need to be bumping heads right now.
we don't.
We don't need to be bumping heads right now, man. But if that's if that's what's got to happen, then then so be it, man. But in my mind, I've done everything that I can to try to avoid this shit.
Yeah, yeah,
So it is what it is. I've been mad with friends before for a long
yeah,
time.
yeah. And you know what? I think friends have been more mad at me than I've been mad at them. You know what I'm saying? I know both sides of the coin, but see,
Mhm.
here's the thing that I try my best to do. When I interact with my friends, I want to give them all the respect in the world because I want them to give me the same respect. You see what I'm saying? So I carry what I carry, what I want. I'm gonna give you that. You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
hard to do because we get in our feelings. We want to be heard. We want to be this. We want to be that. That's hard to do because it's a discipline that's associated with it. Not, but I'm hoping that every single friend that I have understand where I'm coming from if I speak on something. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to do anything. But if I speak on it, you have a good idea of why I spoke on it.
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
And vice versa. Because I am invested in my friends because I listen to them. You get me? I listen to. I'm an active listener, not just somebody who give you the impression that I'm listening, but I'm sitting here like this. Oh, uh huh. What for real? What? What? She did what? 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 Come on, man. You know,
Yeah.
It's-
Man. In a lot of regards, man. I My friend group, man. I let them down, man, because it's been a long time since I've actually been in the same room with a lot of these dudes. With a
uh-huh.
lot of my dudes or whatever, man. And there's no excuse for it. I would never try to make an excuse for it, because that would belittle the relationship, you know. But and I get over myself, man, and I have fantasies about reunions, and we just meeting up somewhere out of the fucking blue, man, and rekindling a friendship, man. As tight as it was, but
Yeah,
I have no expectation for that, man, because as we said earlier in the show, man, we're all different people now.
we are.
We're all different people now, man. But I would love for us to get together again and stay in contact.
I'm gonna tell you what I do. That that I get an idea. I get an idea. Was once I started carrying a cell phone around regularly, carrying a cell phone around, those people that I felt was important in my life, I would I would call them. I still do, and I'll text them. Now I'm not gonna know you completely, but we're not gonna start from scratch. You know what I mean, it's a piece of effort. It's an effort to do something, to stay in touch, to be engaged. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. So let me ask you a question. You know how there's the statement black women need to be protected. right?
Mm-hmm.
And black men are protecting black women and all these things like that. So let me ask you a question, and it just crossed my mind today. Who protects black men, and do we
Uh,
need to be protected?
that's a good question, man. Definitely. You know, honestly, for me, it's always been hell. It's always been black women. I mean,
Yeah,
no matter no matter what the scenario was, no matter what expectation there was of me in that scenario or whatever, it was always a black woman that was around, man, who I could go and confide in, and who was my sounding board, or
yeah.
who would just be like, "Fuck them, strong." Sometimes that's what I needed to hear. Fuck them.
Hmm.
You in a lot of ways, you where they want to be, and I'm like, okay, I could deal with this situation, for another day. So for me, like I said, it's been. I'm not even gonna say primarily for it's been black women.
So Malika says black women also, and I'm not disagreeing, but I'm trying to figure out how, if we're protecting them now, do we protect each other? But has it ever been asked? The question I just brought up: who protects black men? Of course, it's a given that black women are, that's their role, that we protect each other, right? But
Mhm.
has the question ever been asked of us?
I've never been asked that question before. Never.
And that's what makes it interesting. Like what can sprout from that? You
A
feel what
lot
I'm
can
saying?
sprout from it, man, because I mean, there's I'm quite sure there's a section of black men who refuse protection from other people. I'm quite sure there is, and
Okay, I
I could
get it.
get it.
I get it.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that, man. But the simple truth is, hell, the biggest gorilla in the, that's a bad analogy. The biggest lion on the savannah needs somebody watching his back.
But are we raised to even think like that? That we need to be protected?
No, no, I
I
wouldn't. I
found I
mean,
found I found that interesting too. Like we're not raised to think that we need to be protected.
like the conversations I had, like in those regards and with Pop and everything, he say the most protective thing he would say is just be smart. He never
Mm,
said, he never said you need to consider whether or not you're going to dive into that fray or not. He said be smart about it. So I was always comfortable to the fact with the fact that there's just a certain amount of damage that I'm going to take. That's just what it is, or that's just how it was. And as far as somebody coming to my rescue and and having my back, no questions asked or whatever, I never thought about that, period. you know and maybe
yeah.
that's not fair, and I'm not even gonna say maybe that's not fair to the people who I've been around in my life, but I've never had an expectation for anybody to protect me.
Is that fair though? Now you said that may not be fair, but let's analyze that just a little bit. Is it fair to feel as though that once we out on our own, we don't need any help?
No, it's not. No, it's not, because I mean, I don't shit. Frankly, man, I never ran with bitches.
I get it.
I mean, just in its basis form, I never ran with bitches, man. I never ran with
Whoa, whoa,
somebody
whoa,
who
whoa,
I
whoa,
who.
whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please elaborate because I don't want nobody to confuse that with you referring women to that. You know what I'm saying?
No, not, no, I don't, no. But when I say bitches, I mean like chicken hearted men
Okay.
who I wouldn't trust to punch somebody in the face for me.
Yeah.
I've never been, the kind of person to surround myself with people who I didn't see as just as dangerous as I was, but I just
Okay.
never had an expectation for them to protect me.
Because I'm
Even if,
kind of
hell, even when and even if and when they did, it never registered as protection. Because I'm quite sure, my friends, you know how it was. I'm quite sure my friends have kept me out of a lot of shit.
yeah. I think I'm stuck on the fact that I don't think the question's ever been raised, right? And I wonder why it's never been raised. I can say from a personal point of view, I was brought up to stand on my own and not look for help.
Mm.
I would receive help, but not look for help. You feel what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
whenever I received help, I didn't know how to accept it.
So, and I was
Even
that
e-
way too,
even
but
when I
I
was,
accepted it though.
yeah, yeah. Like I was gonna say, even when I was in dire need, you know, and I still can't look up and reach my hand up. That's pride, and that's the kind of pride that people die under.
Yeah.
So some situations, I had to be called, you dumb as hell. What?
Hmm.
This is an opportunity to remedy exactly what the fuck is on your mind right now, and the only reason that you're not diving into this situation wholeheartedly is because of your pride.
I get
So
it.
yeah, I mean, God bless everybody who ever had my back, and I hope you believe that I had yours just as much as you had mine.
I
But
used to tell people all the time, you can count on my help without me. There's no stipulation on my help if I feel as though that's who you're the kind of person that I should invest my help into.
Mhm.
I didn't need no reciprocation. You know what I'm saying? Now you could drive me away because I would for better judgment. Because I'm always looking for self-preservation. But you always, when the people that you are invested in and you care about, right? You always are willing to sacrifice a part of yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth. You know. All right. Been a good discussion today, man. To be honest with
Yeah.
you. A pet peeve of mine is watching celebrities go back and forth with each other in social media. That bothers the shit out of me. And you want to know why? Because those folks have made it to a place that I did not either I haven't seen yet or I'm never going to see. But you find a reason to be going back and forth with each other. And it's entertainers. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that irks me, man.
But
But it gets good.
when that happens though, man, I question their buzz. I question, and I'm not pocket watching, man, but I question. You got to question their finances. You got to question their relationships. You have to question everything when they go back and forth, man, because if they think they ain't hot, if the money ain't coming in like it was at one point, then they're gonna do something to try to stoke that fire.
So you think it's a money thing?
I think it's a money thing. I think it's a relationship thing. I think it's a current condition thing. Yeah. I mean, rarely would somebody, I believe I refuse to believe that a person would get involved and you know spilling their garbage and other people's garbage on the internet, you know, just out of boredom, you know, because
I mean, that's
some of
what it is half the time. The majority of the time, it's out of boredom, and it's out of pride too. You know what I'm saying? Out of pride. You
yeah,
know?
I mean, but look what it's doing to all our young rap artists, you know, the social media, man. I mean, you know, how many over the last 10 years, man, have died over things said over the doggone internet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
Internet,
know,
internet beefs there are not reasons for permanent solutions, man.
I agree. I agree. I think when you put yourself in a situation, like that's why it bothers me when I see it. Not because I'm embarrassed or anything like that. It's I know there are children, men and women and children, who are worrying about a meal.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you upset because a man said that your chain is. This is throwing it out there. Your chain is fake. This is
Hmm.
how petty. Now that's not a particular person, but this is how petty these arguments are. Like, do you know just how much the world is suffering? And guess what we do? We tune it in and we look. We pay attention to it. You know what I
And
mean?
just to take it a little deeper than the example of the chain, man. And I don't want to rebeat this dead horse, but you're familiar with Gene Deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think he was complicit in any of that shit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
To
you
have
know,
to have that to have the information he has, yes.
I mean, he had to have been at
And
one
and
point.
he's getting paid for the information he's giving anyway.
Yeah. So I mean,
All right. Well, last subject, and we on the same subject, right? Same topic. You watch YouTube and Vlad,
mm,
right? I remember when Vlad was a damn DJ, and I used to
look,
go get his, and a
look,
damn dance hall DJ, and his joints used to
man.
be fire.
This
They
shit,
used to be fire.
Vlad had the heaviest shit out.
He
Dance
did.
hall
Dance
reggae. Hey,
hall,
he had the heaviest shit.
he
Yeah.
had the heaviest shit. And then he got into the social media game, and I saw it building up, right? And he used to, everybody who it made no difference who. Now he's big time, right? But this whole thing with Bootsy wanting to charge him 40,000, even though he giving them 25,000 an interview, right?
I thought
I
he didn't
respect,
charge.
huh?
I thought he
No, he
didn't
do,
charge for it. Oh,
he do, he do. Now I respect Bootsy saying, "Look, give me what I feel is my worth." I get that,
hmm.
right? But $25,000 an interview, right? And he was doing it twice a year. Like, bro, what the fuck, man? You only on there for 2 hours,
Hmm.
right? So I'm looking at both sides. I believe in both sides. It is what it is. He has a right to ask for more because that's who it is. Because he said, well, he hadn't done an interview. I'm doing you a favor, Vlad, but I want 40, 35, 40, because we haven't done our monthly interview. So I've saved you money already. That's bullshit. But I saved you money already, right? So Vlad take it to using his platform because he's smart. Because he's trying to get people to come to it, right? But he's a dickhead at the same time because he's like, it's like, well, Bootsy's asking me for this money, but he's not worth it because I'm losing money because of this. No, Bootsy was right. A lot of people come to your platform because of him and other folks, but because of him. right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you did was that disagreement, you put it up on your joint to make more money off of it. You know what I'm saying? So Ari Spears, now Ari Spears, because Bootsy's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ari Spears like, yo, well, we need to negotiate our shit. Now Aries betting on himself, but Aries feeling as though, and Blad's like, yo, you ain't Bootsy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling the world this. He's clowning these two men and
Because
getting paid on his platform because he's clowning them.
yeah, I mean, but it's all about opportunity, man. Because do you have a doubt that if he were after everything cools down, if he were to invite them back and pay them the same money, you don't think they would go?
I think Ari Spears would, right?
Even Boosie though, man. I mean, Boosie,
Yeah, but
he had the fact that he's still to some people he's still a viable artist. So he was probably
that's why I said that. He's still
yeah
making money. He's
yeah.
still making money doing shows and appearances. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So that's why I said that they would probably, in order for Boosie to come on, they would split it down the middle. You see what I'm saying? Aries ain't giving them nothing. He ain't giving Aries anything. You feel what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it is like, I understand the hustle, man. But I'm like, bro, them little, because I think Aries is getting like 5,000 an interview. That's 5 G's, man. That check is cut.
Hmm.
That's 25,000. And like I said, I respect both of them, right? But it's an interview platform.
Hmm.
You feel me? Like, that's what the fuck you doing. You sitting down and you talking.
Yeah,
So
but during those conversations though, I mean, especially well, no, especially with Ari Spears, because Boosie will say some wild shit, but Ari Spears, that's where he lives. Now, 9 times out of 10, he's going to say something that's going to alienate him from somebody during that
yeah, because
conversation.
he
So
does he
that's
does dumb shit. He
yeah,
says dumb shit, and
but
I
that's
think he's
money.
a
That's
highly. I
money
think he
lost.
and Aries is an asshole. I think he is a very talented comedian. You know what I mean? When I watch him do a stand up, he's funny, right?
Mm,
But he had that New York attitude. I'm sorry, forgive me, folks from New York, right? But some of you guys have that arrogancy, like your shit don't stink and you smelling like a damn pig farm. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Ari Spears gives me because he'll get on there with Vlad, right? He'll get on there with Vlad and talk about people who ain't had nothing to do with he ain't had, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And he'll just
So
create some crazy shit. And then he'll have to come back and walk it back. I done seen him do it like 2 or 3 times
man, that's
because
because
of the interview with Vlad.
he trying to walk it back because he threatened his money somewhere else
Yeah.
talking to Vlad,
Yep.
and for him the increase in the check is worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. But Vlad, he is. It is incredible that he thinks, even though he's making internet money, because he's one of the first to get on. He got on early,
Hmm.
so that's why he's making money. You know, what I mean, he's able to generate whatever he's generating. I'm not saying he's making millions, but I'm saying he's able to generate from the different people that he have on there and the machine behind it. He's able to get those views and is able to translate into dollars, right? But he is drunk off of his own success, I want to say. But the only reason why you're successful is because of the people that you brought on. It has nothing to do with you. He makes it about him. His ego makes it about himself. You feel what I'm saying? He really does.
But that's, I mean, shit. That's one of the reasons people get into entertainment, man. It's because of their ego. It's because they need to feed what they believe is the spark that everybody wants.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's been lucky enough, man, for that exposure, to get that
That's true.
exposure.
That's true.
But it's become a character thing now.
Yep. Malika said if he didn't think they would produce revenue on his show, he wouldn't ask him to come on. That being said, Ari need ask for more. You need to ask for more. Yeah, but he's not gonna get more because he's not the. You know what I'm saying? It's more or less. Aries is acquired taste. Boosie is a train wreck because those were kind of those are train wreck interviews that Boosie had. Boosie got out of jail from fucking life. So Boosie don't give a shit. He gonna say whatever the fuck he want to say. And from this first interview, in my opinion, this first interview on Vlad, right? They didn't realize how candid he would be and how much people would tune in and retweet or whatever they do.
Mhm.
You know,
And 40,000 an episode, I think is worth it.
nah,
You don't think so?
no, because my man is cheap, man. You know what I'm saying? Look, the way the way if he's telling the truth, the way his numbers is crunched, which I think he's lying, but the way his numbers was crunched, he was barely making money paying him 25. He was paying him 25 for uh he said out of their friendship. But no, what you're doing, Vlad, is you're clipping everything. So every clip that you put up there and is a and it goes viral as a if it's a controversial clip, that's making individual money. So you
Mm.
put 30 clips up there and they all generate the money. Now you make see you not Vlad is not putting up the real numbers. All he is putting up is the one long ass interview. He's basing everything off that one interview. In which if he wasn't clipping up the interview, right, then he would have a real legitimate argument. But if you are on YouTube, you understand that each that's how Shannon Sharp with Cat Williams interview, how Shannon Sharp made the money he made because he clipped it up 30-second to a minute clips of what Cat was saying. And he was generating million views off of different 500,000 views, a million views off of different clips. Home
But
video made the money, but
in the world of business, though, that's two different financial pools, though.
yeah, that's
So
my point.
yeah. So you got the hour-long clip, and that's the money that he might pay Boosie out of. But like all the shorter clips or whatever, that's different. That's different
That's
because
different
it
money right there.
yeah, the material is still Boosie or whatever, but I seriously doubt if he has any rights to that.
No,
So
you
yeah,
don't.
I can make on average what this ballpark I can make $50,000 off the hour long interview, but off the 30-second, 45-second segments or whatever, shit, I could be clearing $1 million. So that's yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
that money
that's
go- that
real
money
different.
that money is earmarked for something else.
Yeah, Malika is saying this next statement right here. This is a good point, Malika. You have to be willing to walk away from folks lowballing you. But is he actually lowballing them? Because if you ain't getting into his business, if you really don't understand, you're actually being blessed by sitting there talking off of who you are. You know what I mean? Because if you agree, well, look, that's 25 G's, right? Well, that's 25,000 more than whatever. Now, if Vlad was like, yo, I need you to start coming on here on a regular basis, now you negotiate all of it. Like, yo, I need them 40. I need them 40 bands. Easy. You know what I'm saying?
That, or I need you to shout me out and advertise me, motherfucker.
Yes, sir. And that's the thing, is man. But this, like I said, you know, Boosie misunderstood his and Vlad's relationship. Boosie looked at them as a friend. But see, what Boosie did was like, yo, I did you a favor. I need them 40 racks, right? But Boosie thought himself the dominant friend. And Vlad was like, no, sir, wait a minute now, wait, oh, no. You know, we're friends, but no, you don't control my money like that, my guy. You know what I'm saying? And then he started smelling himself anyway because he got Tekashi on there. And then he got Charleston White. So he's making, with Tekashi 6ix9ine, he's, come on, man. His clips and the actual episode, 1 million views, 2 million views, 3 million views. You see what I'm saying? So of course he's gonna look at Boosie like, yo, you're not gonna extort me when I got this in the bag, my guy. You know what I'm saying?
But see, the thing about the difference between them is the fact that, you know, Boosie's always gonna say some crazy shit, and if there ain't no crazy shit to be said, he's gonna go out and do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So he's either gonna talk about it or he's gonna be the catalyst.
That's good. I get it. But you know, it is what it is. It's all smoke and mirrors. You know, you get caught up. The dumb stuff is always gonna be the dumb stuff. All right, well, great episode today, brother.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with it.
We'll take ourselves on out of here, man. So, yeah, do us a favor, man. Go like, share, and subscribe, man. Put us in Vlad money territory. You know what I mean? Or at least push us towards it. That's why just push us towards it. We ain't got to be there, but push us in that direction, folks. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know, we'll appreciate you. If you have any comments, leave comments on each episode. We'll address them when you know the following Friday when they come in. You know, especially if you enjoy our content. So, you know, any last words there, Mr. Armstrong?
I've thoroughly enjoyed this evening's conversation, brother, and I look forward to the next. You be safe.
I as well enjoyed what we were talking about and the responses, and Malika, Keith, who else? Who was there? Who else was there? Malika, thank you for your comments. Always
Absolutely.
on time, cuz. Always on time. Malika and Keith, thank you both. We appreciate y'all. Friends of the show. It's all love. Family. Malika is family. But, you know, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. You know what I'm saying? Find a reason to laugh. Find a reason to do whatever you need to do to be the very best you possible. And with that being said, this is a Strong Perspective Podcast. Have a great, great weekend. Peace.